Morning, Jules here from Joolsedesigns at Pt3. So the third in our series of Back to Basics. Now we've gone through the cover and we just covered it with coffee dyed paper to decorate at a later date. We put in one signature. We also put in 2 pages the way I normally do a journal, and this is the way, because I like my pages to sort of like flip and have a little bit, but I turn them into pockets. Normally I would stitch round them and then they've got the fancy stitching. I know not everybody likes to stitch. This is my ideas journal. Everybody's ideas are different, and I know a lot of you are brand new beginners, and as you go on your journey you'll get more and more ideas, and there's no such thing as a bad idea. If it makes you happy, it's a great idea. So don't knock yourself. Now, one of the things I like to do when I'm doing journaling, especially with coffee dyed paper and papers, is I like to stencil and I like to use textured paste. And you can see now, when we did the pages with gesso and acrylic and everything, we didn't do the coffee dyed papers. So what I did was I put textured paste on my coffee dyed paper without actually priming it at all, and I sprayed some ink on it. So yeah, it went a bit wrinkly. You can see that went through there. So if you're going to use textured paste, or you're going to be spraying ink or anything on, just put a bit of either clear gesso, acrylic paint, or white gesso, anything. So what I wanted to do here, as you can see, I mixed stenciling, and it was a bee stencil. I made it myself. I have a scan and cut. So I just did a little bee, I did inspired, and I did some honeycombs, and that's what I did. And then afterwards I put a little bit of my, anybody that follows me knows I love my gold foiling, and I think this is just about finished because I've got bits of glue on the back that isn't going to stick anymore. But I like that, and I will put a pocket, I will put a tag or something on there, so that to me is an idea for me. It reminds me to use that have stencils, that have textured paste, because sometimes, we just get so wrapped up in what we're doing, we forget what we've got. This one, I just did a little bit of stenciling. And as you can see, I did a little advert. I buy my stencils from Temu. I have some expensive stencils that I've bought in the past, but I tend to buy them from Temu. The graph paper, now one of the things I like to do is I like to draw plants. If you want to learn to draw, Creative Cove, she's a YouTube channel, I can't remember her name, and she says it every time. She'll teach you to draw mushrooms, toadstools, plants, and this is, I've always been able to draw thistles. These thistles are just painted without drawing around them, and it's not, you can see coffee dyed paper, and you can see where the paint, the watermark's gone. That was just a bit of a digital that I didn't use, and I used metallic paint. This was a sketch I did of a thistle. Now, because I live in Scotland, I love thistles. I know they're not sometimes the nicest of plants to look at, but it is our national flower. So this one I sketched, and this idea I did get from the Creative Cove, and this was my kind of first attempt. So I was quite pleased with it. She uses a pencil. I used a pencil to do the top. The rest of it I just used watercolour crayons, and they're just cheap watercolour crayons by Stedler. I got them at I think I got them at the Works here in the UK. It's similar to the The Works is like an art store, so it sells books, it sells games, it sells crafting stuff, and it sells paints, and it does a lot of kids stuff and stationery. I'm not sure if a dollar store would be the equivalent, but I know through visiting the States you can get all that out there anyway. Anyway, that's what I did, and then I just went over it with one of my little brushes that holds water and just melded it in. The two colours I used was like an olive green and a lavender and a little bit of black. So this is, to me, an idea that I can sketch on pages. I don't have to use stencils, and I just wanted to put this up here or there. I might just pin that at the top, you know, do a hidden paper clip with it, and that'll be another idea for a hidden paper clip, and do a tuck spot with that I can shove stuff in. So I just pin that there. I'm not going to show you how to draw. I can sketch. I did art school when I did my hairdressing apprenticeship. I did it between a shop and college, way back in the 70s. That's a long, many moons ago. So I'm you know, there's loads of YouTube if you want to learn to draw, but Creative Cove for simplistic. I think she does birds as well, things like that. So what I want to do is I want to go to my magazine pages, because I know I prepped these with gesso and acrylic paint. And this one we put some napkin on. We did a bit on napkins, and so what I want to do is I want to do a little bit of textured paste. Now, textured paste you can buy already made. I tend to make mine myself. Now, this was made on the 15th of May last year, and I've had to, the best thing to do to keep it airtight is to put a little polythene bit in it. I've had to put a bit of water in it because it wasn't as airtight as I thought it was going to be, but that's your consistency. And I will put the recipe on the screen when I'm editing, but it is 4 equal parts talcum powder. I think you can use corn flour, but I've got here, and that's what I use, talcum powder. 2 parts white acrylic paint and 1 part PVA glue. And you just mix it thoroughly, store it in an airtight jar, and obviously date your jar. This is just an old gesso pot. You can use a jam jar, anything you want, but put a little bit of polythene. I've just got an abundance of bubble wrap, so that's what I used. If you can hear a buzzing, it's my washing machine telling me it's finished. Open the door and get the washing out and get the next lot on, but that will happen after the video. Normally my husband does it, but he's out walking Dora. So now, stencils. I've got loads of stencils. It doesn't matter what stencil you use. I've got that one, that's an advert one. It's got chocolate, and it's a kind of a French, well, that one and that one is, but I'm not going to use that one. I've got like a splattered paint one here. I've got my bee one. I've got butterflies. This is one I made myself, and I might use that one. I've got a brick wall, and that would look stressed, and I've got sort of like stones. I've got a fancy swirly one, and I've been using my Cadence distress paste with that and didn't wash it quick enough. I'll have a go at the end of this video. And then I've got a couple of these ones with text and everything on. So if you can make out the text, make sure you don't put it on the wrong way and have your text going the wrong way. So I think what we'll do is we will do a little bit of this text one, or will we do a little bit of swirl? I think maybe we'll do a bit of swirl. And there's no right or wrong way that you do this. I don't pin or tape my stencils down. You can. If you've never done this before, just practice on a bit of paper. This stuff's quite cheap to make, so you're not wasting anything. And some people might tell you that proper textured paste is the best to use, and probably it is. I've used both, and to me this is just as good as. So I've got, you can see I've got a blob there, and it's like putting butter on your toast. So all I do is I just gently go over it. Don't press too hard. You can scrape it off. So I put it on kind of using the flat. And then I just kind of scrape it a little bit. And I should really have something hard under this page, but I haven't. So don't worry. And I've just gone under that stencil, so that's going to be a little blip. Am I bothered? No. So I think that's enough for that. We'll just do that bit, and if you don't get all of them, don't worry about it. And then just gently lift your stencil up, and there you are. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit at the bottom, and I'm not even putting it the way it was. I'm just going to do it this way. Again, you get used to how much you need to pick up. And all I'm using my fingers to flatten this down. I mean, if you've got gesso and things like that on your page, you could tape it down with some masking tape and things like that. It would hold it. And I've just gone under the stencil again, as you can see. Am I bothered? No. Just fill those in and then lift it. I think I doubled it, yeah. I doubled it a little bit there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scrape my knife off, put my lid, I'm not fastening it, and I'm going to squirt my stencil with some water just to stop. That's the only thing, is if you're using textured paste, make sure that you either have a dish of water that you can put it in, or you can squirt it. I went over, so I'm just lifting it up. This one I kind of went haywire. That's fine. I'm not that bothered. Now what I am going to do is, normally I would let that dry and go on to another page, but I can't because it'll squish on there. So what I am going to do is I'm going to dry it off, so I'll be back in a few seconds. I am back, so that's it dried. It's because it's made with PVA glue and white acrylic, it is quite, you know, it doesn't crack, and it's dried really well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in there to protect. I think I've had the just going to put that in there to protect the page below, the pages underneath. Now what I do want to do is I want to put some water and ink. Now this is mixed media, and I like to do this. I'm going to use a little bit of speckled egg. You can use paint, you can use whatever you want. And it's just to add a little bit of colour. It's going over, and I don't care. It's just to give a little bit of colour. And and if you get something that you don't want to drip, just use a wet wipe, and again dry it off. Take your cellophane packaging out before you do that, otherwise you'll melt it. And then I'm going to use a little bit of bundled sage again, and this is the oxide, so I'm just going to go a little bit here, just putting tiny bits, and I'm going to water it just so it runs. I'm not covering the magazine page up totally. I just want to put a little bit of colour in, because when I put a pocket, and that's all I do. We'll run it back down there. And because it's had gesso on it and everything, you can wet it. And I'm just gently lifting the drips up, and then I'm going to dry it, and we're going to leave it like that. There we are. And the reason I used those colours was because this is grey on the end, and we'd already done a bit of grey. I did a little bit of lilac in odd bits, but that's it. So I've got 2 pages that match. And here we've got a little bit of, so we're going to do some more textured paste. I think we'll do a little bit of the brick wall. I'm not going to do the whole lot, I'm just doing a bit. Again. This is good for if you're doing Christmas. You know, Santa coming down the chimney type of effect. Pull that away, and you can see I've not done a great job, but I'm not bothered. And I'm just going down the side. Lift it up gently. That one was a bit better. Put it that way. We'll just catch a few. Caught some on the page, but I'm not bothered. And there we are. And we'll just squirt this. Okay, that's me. It's not fully dry, but it's dry enough. Because what I want to do is I want to use this stencil again. Now I've got some stencil brushes here again. I get them from Temu. They're quite soft and I like them. And I'm just going to use some, trying to think, do I want this one? Twilight grey, it's a brownie grey. and I'm just going to do a little bit more brickwork. It's not going to be a total transformation, but you'll be able to see it. There we are. And then if you want, you can match, you know, put your stencil over what you've already done. And then the brickwork matches. Same with this. You can't always get them in the right places, but you can get them roughly. And that's that one done. So I quite like that. I'm not going to put anything else on. This one I'm going to do this stone effect, and I think I'll go with Sandstorm. These are Harmony Spectrum Noir. I think I got them from Create and Craft when they had I think it was a Crafter's Companion show. I bought the whole set and I've been quite pleased with them. I do like them. Maybe this isn't dark enough. Oh, it is. But you can see where it's picked over the white. That's dry, so we'll go over this a little bit here. This was where the textured paste accidentally got on this page because I wasn't being careful. When it comes to this kind of thing, you don't have to be careful. Just do what makes you happy. And if you make a mistake, you can always show a butterfly on it. So there you are. And I think we'll go with a little bit darker. Trying to think what else would go with that colour. I'm just wondering if we could use a lilac. That's a bit too lilac-y. What have I got? Maybe it's Dusty Concord. And I'll use the Distress ink one. So I'm just and you can see where it's picking up on some of the acrylic paint or gesso or whatever I put down on this. And there we are. So I like purple and brown, and we'll do a little bit down here. I think now it'll be quite intense where the white was, which is fine. But then when it goes over, because I think we put a bit of tea dye on this one, didn't we? And I'm just taking it up to that one just to match, and then just blending it in around the edges. And there we are. So we've got that kind of thing. So I'm quite happy with those pages. So we've got that one, we've got that one, and although that, you know, you put anything over these, and this one I think we're going to do bright pink. And I'm just thinking maybe it's one of the adverts or butterflies, or maybe it's this to make it look intense, and I'm going to go for this one. This is fuchsia. I'm going to take another that is quite intense. So I'm just going over that. Maybe that's a bit too pink. What's this one? Plum jam. Probably never used this one. That's just as, oops, just as pink, I think. It's a bit more purpley, so I think what we'll do is we'll go with, I'm going to go over it with Bordeaux, because that'll darken it down a bit. And you can do this with your inks. You can mix them up. And if you notice, on the stencil, when I first put my brush on the stencil, it's just to get rid of some of the intense ink, and then I go over it and just swipe it onto the we'll have a look at that. Yeah, that's a bit better, and we did do some little speckles on it, didn't we? So I'm just going to go over this. Quite like that, and we'll just do some little spots up here. Quite like the spots. And there we are, we've blended it in. It still is a little bit pink, but I'm quite happy with it. I don't mind it. And it hasn't covered all these up, but that's fine because we can put a nice tag in there. So you'll still see the colours round about. And basically that's all you're looking for. Some people with an ideas journal don't decorate the pages because what they're more interested in is the pockets and the tags and, you know, the little folds that they do. But I'm not. I like to do these little bits and pieces because I am quite arty, so I do like to, especially if I'm working with coffee dyed paper or book pages, I do like to pretty them up either with paint or textured paste, stencils. And if you look back at any of my videos in the past, I've done freehand drawing and things like that. So I think what we might do is we might have a go on this one, and I think what we'll do is we'll do some of this, and it is, I'm going to put this underneath so that I don't get any on the music page. Not that it would hurt it. So let me give that a stir because I've not had it covered. I always give it a stir before I put it away. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down here. So again, and it's just like spreading butter. bit of scraped off. And I'm going right down the edge because I'm not doing the, I'm just doing kind of a border on this one. And I'm just going to leave it white because it is, although what I've done in the past is I've dried it off and I've gone over the stencil, I've put the stencil back on and gone over with an ink. But with this textured paste you can colour it. You can put a little bit on your mat, mix a bit of paint or ink or whatever you want with it and colour it, and you can have coloured textured paste. And I'm just pushing that into those bits. And then just gently lift it. And that one's a little bit better than what I did the last time. That lid on there for now. And I like that. I really do like that. And you can see what would have gone onto the music page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dry this off. Okay, so that's me back. So that's that dry. And again, I quite like that. And I think we might leave it there. I might ink around the edges. And obviously there's no pockets in this. This is just a flip. But I am going to make this a pocket. I am going to stick that down eventually. But what I want to do is I'm thinking, swithering, whether to use a bit of this Cadence Distress Paste. Oh, getting a right mess with this, and it's like a deep red, and I think that's what I am going to do. So I'm just going to wipe my, I've got another one somewhere, but I prefer to use this one. So I'm just going to wipe my stencil and get it cleaned. Okay, so that's me back. So I've not got it totally clean, but I've got it clean enough to use. And we're going to do this way, but it needs drying. Obviously I spray water on it, so just wondering if I should maybe do some butterflies. No, I'm going to use this. This is what I decided to do. And this is a bit more runnier than the other paste. And I'm just bringing it down. And up and out a bit. and then we'll just lift that up, and there we are. It's bled a little bit, but not to worry. Again, it just makes a stark difference. I'm gonna have some lovely red towels when I'm finished. They're just old towels that I was going to throw out, and I thought, no, I'll use them in my craft room. And I've not used this on a stencil before. This, I've always used it to kind of mix in with other mediums. I'm just going to check. It's sticky, but it's drying. So I'm just going to see if it's sticky enough to use a little bit of this. Oh, might be able to get some of this off. Yes. So just nope, it's pulled a little bit off, but never mind. So we've got a nice little bit of gold foiling going on here. It's kind of drying it off. And as you can see, it's not perfect gold foiling, but this gold foiling will definitely go in the bin now because it's got bits mixed in with it. So I think it's... And there we are. So you can do that. Don't know whether you can see. Yeah, you can. And you can put other things. Oh dear, Jolie, don't poke your fingers in it, you silly woman. Alright, so I'll give this another try at the top. So that might take on a little bit more of this. On the edges. That's it. So that says B, so probably what I would do is put a B tag or something in there. It doesn't really matter. But there we are. So it's back to basics. It's basically showing you how to use your stencils for textured paste that you can make yourself and play with, or stenciling, which we've done just stenciling there. We've done a bit of both there. And if I wanted, I could even, you know, put, oh, look at that. Look, oh, dearie me, Julie, just put it down. You've just splashed everything because it's still wet. But I could put that stencil back on there and probably get some interesting bits now. I've probably got it all over my top. That's the thing of being a crafter. Yeah, I could put that stencil on there and do it a darker colour, but I'm not going to. But that's definitely a nice pocket. I like that for putting bits and pieces in. I might do some stenciling over that, but I think I'll probably do a little bit of coffee dyeing. I like the coffee dyeing. It makes it look old, and it looks nice if you want to put, you know, if you've done something really vintagey and you want to remember how you've done it. So that's it for this week, and next week I think what we'll do is I think we'll start putting some pockets and things like that in. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.